One of the things that he's very motivated by directness, and I said, I've coached a lot better people than you before. And I made it right off the bat, but that was a point. And all of a sudden, he's been fun to watch.
Gregg Williams, the Jets defensive coordinator, sharing some of his secrets on how to motivate his players. He can't, I don't know how you would transcribe that, Big Cat, but, you can't do the bounties anymore if you're Gregg Williams. You got to come up with another way to get the most out of your players. So I guess insulting them and saying, I've coached better players than you, that's the best way to get guys motivated. And Williams separately said that the reason he keeps getting hired is culture. Culture beats strategy any day of the week. It's how you find ways to play tougher, work harder. It comes from an attitude. I guess that has some value, but you still have to have a decent scheme, or you can have a bunch of guys out there who are very driven and motivated, but they don't know what the hell they're doing.
So you think this is a stupid comment by him? Because I saw some blowback on Twitter. I agree with Gregg Williams. I think,
I think it's part of it. I think it's part of it. I think it's not, but I think your scheme still has value.
Of course.
It has real value.
Of course your scheme has value, but when you think of schemes, you usually think more on the offensive side of the ball and trying to get guys open. If you have dudes on the defense, a lot of times you can just play straight up and beat them. And I wouldn't want this from my head coach. If my head coach said this, I'd be like, are you serious right now? You have to be smarter than that. You have to be thinking, how can we out-scheme the other opponent? If you look at, the Super Bowl, Bill Belichick out-schemed Sean McVay. It was, obviously culture was part of it, but that was really what it came down to. But in terms of coordinator, if you're talking about defensive coordinator, this is kind of what I want out of my defensive coordinator. I want my defense to play with an edge. I want them to be mad. I want, them to all have a chip on their shoulder. And if Gregg Williams can do that, then Gregg Williams is a good defensive coordinator in my mind.
Hey, man, here's the bottom line. 7 years ago when the bounty stuff was unfolding in New Orleans and all the stuff came out and those ridiculous comments, kill the head in relation to Frank Gore, the things he was saying that got taped as part of that Steve Gleason documentary, and that all came out in the aftermath of the bounty scandal. And then Gregg Williams provided an affidavit that pointed a finger at Jonathan Vilma for indeed putting $10,000 or whatever the amount was on the table prior to the 2009 NFC Championship game. I took all that stuff together and I thought, this guy is never going to coach again in the NFL. He's going to be a pariah. That tells you how good he is. He was able to overcome all of that and still be gainfully employed all these years later, because he does bring something to the table that does get his players ready, that does give them the right attitude and the right approach. And yes, some of the weapons have been taken out of his arsenal because of the bounty scandal and the other embarrassments that emerged 7 years ago, but he still knows how to push buttons to get guys in the right mindset to go out and do what they have to do, because ultimately it's a physical game. Can you out-physical the guy in front of you? Will you sprint to the ball and make a big tackle even if it hurts you to do it? And that's what Gregg Williams gets these guys to do.
Exactly. And I think we forget that sometimes on Twitter, and that's not belittling analytics. That's not belittling scheme and the fact that people have gotten a lot smarter as football fans, which I think is great. But when it comes down to it, if you're trying to get a defense to play at a high level, scheme matters, but you want them to go out there and want to kill everyone. Like, that's kind of what it is. You know what I mean? It's still football. It's still getting guys to want to ferociously go after the quarterback, to ferociously go after receivers, and getting that culture and instilling that culture. You can see it when you watch a defense. You know whether that defense plays with an edge or not. And a defense playing with an edge, playing with an attitude that kind of, dictates a game. It's very hard today in today's NFL because it's such an offensive skewed league, and the rules and everything that's going into scoring more points. So having a guy like Gregg Williams, maybe a little bit of a throwback, isn't a bad thing in my mind.
I remember before Super Bowl 44 when he was defensive coordinator of the Saints, and he was talking about Peyton Manning. They were getting ready to face the Colts, and Williams said we have to apply some remember me hits to Peyton Manning, and that's ultimately what he's talking about. The scheme gets you in position to make the hit. When it's time to make the hit, will you deliver, and can you deliver the kind of hit? And I know people get nervous about this now because of the focus on health and safety, but this is football. Can you deliver the kind of hit that is going to make that guy think twice the next time? Maybe he's not going to catch the ball. Maybe he's going to throw it sooner than he wants to because he's afraid of getting hit again. I mean, that ultimately is what football is about to a very large extent. If you can get that guy's attention early in the game, he's going to be looking for you the rest of the game. And if he's looking for you, he's not playing as effectively as he could.
Mike, keys to the game, number one, get after the quarterback. Every single game.
Analytics. High-end
That's how you
analytics.
beat.
There
Hey,
you go.
I don't even know if you heard, Mike, but how you beat Tom Brady? You got to hit Tom Brady. That's my favorite.
Yeah,
whenever
hit Tom
everyone
Brady.
throws that out. Oh, well, that's easier said than done.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.